Welcome to Monday Night Live, the weekly training that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth.
Tonight's session is the first of 4 parts. We do this every year for the newer folks. This is an annual event that we do, and it takes 4 weeks to do it. It's basically how we kick off the year. We wrap up the current year and kick off the next year. And we do it by doing what's called the VGAP, VGAP, which stands for Vision, Goals, Actions, Plans. And for those of you who've done it, you know how powerful it is if you've really put your heart into it. And for those of you who are not, I really encourage you to do it. In fact, if Kendra comes on, she'll tell you when she finally did it earlier this year, what it meant to her in production as early as April and May. I mean, she's just manna from heaven. It's crazy. Brianna, same thing. Part of her vision was to invest in it. Here, Brianna's coming on now to invest in a hotel. And we'll ask her to tell you about that experience and how that came about. And it all starts in both cases. The common denominator was the vision exercise. Okay, so just so you know, it's not a nobody's being hypnotized. Nobody's being put in a trance. The nuts, especially not in class. I can't do that stuff anyways. I don't know how to do that, but I can take you through a vision exercise. In fact, I've documented it so you can do it on your own, which is what you should do. It's a very personal thing, very private. I mean, some things I do want you to share, but basically what it comes down to is this. Let me just start by asking a few questions. So if you could raise your hand or type in the chat box if you've ever done a exercise in a path like um, Stephen Covey's values exercise. Remember Stephen Covey, the famous, I mean, he's since passed away, but when it comes to plan, in fact, the planner, this right here is the Franklin Covey planner. And I got that, my very first one in 1989 when I took a class from Stephen Covey. I had no idea who the guy was. I was like 25 years old or something. And of course, I didn't pay attention because I'm thinking about, going out on the weekend. I wasn't thinking about things like values and goals and plans and things like that. Well, thankfully, he planted a big enough seed in my puny little brain that it started bearing fruit years later. And I was getting this planner every year. So that's been 35 years I've been doing this. And I have every single one of those, the entire year, of everything I've done every single day and everything I planned on doing and set goals for and took action steps on. And I can tell you, um, I probably would not be here today speaking to you if it wasn't for that. Okay. So, any case, fast forward, there's other programs you can be in. People teach you how to do vision boards. And I have a vision board. I highly recommend you do one. If you do the vision exercise, the way I teach it, you'll have a really easy time doing a vision board. So, raise your hand or type in the chat box if you've ever done a vision board or done some type of creating some kind of a vision statement, or been part of Stephen Covey's, goal setting exercise. I mean, it's famous. As you look at it, it's a lot of people. Okay. And it all works. But if you keep doing it repeatedly every year, at a minimum every year, okay, it's going to work for you. Remember, you get to have the dream, right? You get to set the goals, but there is a greater power at work here. And I can't tell you how it all works because I don't know. All I can tell you is it does work, right? I mean, it's just miraculous. So, in any case, if you ever done one of those, they all work. What this is it goes a lot deeper. I mean, we're basically you're tapping into a higher power. Some people call it your super consciousness or the universe or the creator or God. I refer to it as God, but I'm not here to preach a sermon. You've used the terminology you want to use, but I think we're essentially all talking about the same thing. Okay. So, and it's there. You've had times in life, I can assure you, where you're sitting there thinking, man, that was just a plain miracle or a prayer answered. Or if you don't, believe or have faith, you probably call it luck. And I can tell you, you can create some luck by, working hard and working smart and stuff like that. But your your results, the life that you live, will be limited to what you are capable of dreaming of in your own mind and setting goals for. Okay. You are far more capable than that. In fact, you're capable of far more things you can ever even imagine on your own. I mean, not even close. So, in any case, when you tap into that, that's when you get some real big, deep, wide, broad, and high visions. Okay. So, in any case, uh, there is a little bit of science behind that, behind this process, how you prepare yourself. And I'm going to get into this in detail in a minute. But I just want you to know that if you ever want to study some of this and figure out what state of mind you want to be in to get the most out of your efforts, particularly something like a vision exercise, just read and study what alpha, beta, theta, and delta waves are. Just you can write that down if you want. Alpha, beta, theta, theta, and delta. Those are the four basic types of brainwave activities. Okay, and in order to really dig deep and go wide and deep and broad and tall, you have to get in the proper state. Okay. Now, basically, alpha and beta are kind of what we are in right now. We're actively engaged, we're conscious, we're connecting, we're communicating. Um, in fact, let me ask you guys a question. Would you agree that right now you're to some degree, a certain degree, you're listening to me, right? And while you're listening, you're starting to formulate your own responses internally, what you think about what I just said, or what you think about what I'm talking about. And you might be wanting to give a response right now. You know, would you agree that at some level you are engaged in that right now? Just raise your hand. Yep. Okay. Now here's the big $64,000 question. Who's the you that's doing all that controlling? It's not your mind. Okay. Your mind is what's between your two ears, right? Now, your mind, you have your conscious and your subconscious. Your conscious is the filter for your conscious. Your conscious is attached to all your senses, and through there, your conscious mind is processing what you need, what you don't need, what to remember, what to forget. You're judging, is it right or wrong or good or bad, formulating a response. And the things that resonate will go through to your subconscious mind. And think of that as non-judgmental, non-critical. Your subconscious mind doesn't analyze anything. It just is what is. Whatever it comes through to it is determined to be what is. Okay. So the key to success in everywhere, every area of life is to tap into your subconscious mind. Now, some people see that as a portal or the connection to your higher self that's actually doing the controlling, right? Um, so, in any case, I promise you, I'm not trying to freak you out. You can read all about this stuff all you want, study it, and you'll learn it too. Okay. The next key is to understand how to use it, right? So, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Um, Now, before I jump into it too deeply, I mentioned Kendra earlier. I don't know if Kendra, are you on here? I don't know if I see her on here or not. Um, we were having a one-on-one back in April because she had like four transactions coming at once, and then another one, like five or six altogether. Um, and I asked her, said, "What do you think's different this year than other years?" Because guys, if you think about it, this past spring we did not get the big bump that we had in almost all prior years. Would you guys agree this past spring was it was okay, but usually between late March and in the late June, there's a huge spike in activity all over the country. It's just pretty common. We didn't really have that this year. And that she nailed like five transactions. She said, "It's Gary, it's because I did the vision exercise this time and I did it the right way. I really put myself into it." And that's what happened. And Brianna, if you can hang on for a moment, Brianna, I'm going to actually have you unmute yourself in a minute after I go through this and have you explain what happened to you this year relative to doing the hotel project. So, any case, any questions so far on this? And again, I've not really taught anything. I'm just kind of giving you like a high level, uh, whatever you want to call it, a forward, if you want to call it introduction. But let me just check the question box here. Yep. Shania refers to the law of attraction. Absolutely. Um, you know, what you focus on generally comes true to some degree, right? So you can speak, you can manifest, you can speak into reality the things that you want, even if you're not aware of it, even if you're not conscious of it, even if you don't want it, you can actually be careful what you say to yourself. In other words, because yourself is listening, right? And your higher self is going to take action on what you tell yourself, right? So, in any case, let's see, Kathleen, vision board every birthday really works. Absolutely. Yep. So, vision boards work. It's vision board is a pictorial um, view of your vision. What I'm going to show you tonight is how to create a written version of that you then can create a vision board and goals and action steps and plans and so forth. So, in any case, I'm glad to hear some of you guys have done this type of work before. It is extremely powerful. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So let me do a share screen. Okay. And I will go right to the source of the material. So if you're on the team, this is where you access it. If you're not on the team, just hang on to your seats and I'll show you what to do. So if you're a team member, you go to the team website, you log in, member login, and click on dashboard. And it's in the uh, fast track, which is a 90-day fast start. Okay. Now, for those of you who are not on the team, you do not have access to this, nor do you have access to the training programs on investing. Okay. So in here, we're going to send these out tomorrow in the after class email so you'll have the actual steps involved. Okay. But if you're on the team, this is where you go get the actual instructions. So you go into the first 30 days, it takes you there automatically. Scroll down to step number one, 4 steps, and you'll see it right there: vision, goals, actions, plans. So let me first explain the relationship between these 4 steps. The first step, obviously, is the vision. Okay. Now, the next step you'll see is goals. Most programs I've seen out there for personal development and personal growth begin with goals. And nothing really wrong with that, other than the fact that it's like taking a ship out to sea, but you really don't know where you're going. Okay. You're just going out to have fun, but you don't have any real destination in mind. Okay. That's why we do the vision exercise first. Now, what Stephen Covey taught me was before we create goals, we have to have our values. We have to know what our values are, right? What do we value in life? Honesty, integrity, truthfulness, um, things like that. Loyalty, devotion. Those are the things we value. All right. And of course, some material things. We value a nice house. We value some money in the bank. We value our cars and things like that. But those are material things. That's different. Um, so once you have your real values identified, then you create your goals. What does that kind of person do? What do they want to have relative to their values? Well, I figured out after a while there was another step involved, and it's called the vision exercise. Okay. Now I created this on my own, with influence from other people I was coaching with. But the key is this: when you have a clear vision, it's easier to write your goals. You know exactly where you want to go. So, for example, raise your hand if you would love to travel the world. You'd love to see all 7 continents. You want to travel and go all these wonderful countries, see all all the oceans, and right. I mean, most people would love to do that, including me. So the vision is be a world traveler, travel and see the world, learn all the different cultures and languages and religions and things like that, eat all the different food, learn all the different cultures again. That's the vision. So a goal would be something like in on July, let me just flip here, see what July 2025. So on July 12th, 2025, I will take a 2-week trip to Greece. And while I'm in Greece, I'm going to explore the 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 culture, the environment, the architecture, the art, the history, right? The people, the food, everything, and really almost become like a Greek person in those 2 weeks, late July 2025 for 2 weeks. That's the goal. That's a real clear goal, right? That's based on an overall vision of traveling the world. And then every year you might go to different place. You might go to South Africa. You might go to Hawaii or Alaska or Canada. So those are the goals. Now, there's another thing that I put in here that wasn't in the other programs I found either. Most of them went from goal setting to planning. Have you guys experienced that? A lot of other these programs will take it from goal setting to planning, making your plans, and then you realize you're creating your plans and you don't really have all the steps involved. So I created an integral step called the action step, where you literally write down, you go through all your goals, right? And you take each goal one by one and you write down the action steps needed to achieve that goal. What are the action steps, right? And it's a living, breathing database. It changes over time. You add to it. Um, and by the way, you never delete from it because you can reuse the action steps sometime later. Well, you create as many action steps as you can. And then finally, you create your plans. So when you create your plans, you don't have to keep thinking back and forth between, well, what action steps are needed to make these plans? Because otherwise, you know what your plans will look like? Plans will look like your goals. You'll say, I plan to go to Greece in the second half of July 2025, but you didn't have any action steps in there. So you create the action steps before you create your plans. So here's how this works. By January, middle of January of 2025, you're going to have your plans in place. Okay. January 6th is the fourth of the four meetings involved. There's no meeting the Monday of Christmas week. Okay. Um, so on the 6th of January, that's the fourth of the final four steps. And you'll create your plans. I'll help you create your plans. Um, the plans drive the action steps through the achievement of your goals, which are in alignment with your vision. So I want you to just slow that down and write that down. When done properly, your plans will drive your actions through to the achievement of your goals, through the achievement of your goals, which are in alignment with your vision. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Now, let's just bring up an example of what can get in your way. So let's say you do everything perfectly correctly. And, let's see here. Let's go to Martin Luther King Day. How about that? January 20th, Martin Luther King Day. You're rocking and rolling, man. You're starting to take action. You wake up Tuesday morning, the 21st of January, and you have a flat tire. And now you know the drill. You got to either call AAA, take care of it yourself, or you know, drive it on a flat tire to a garage, to get a tire replaced. How long is that going to take you? It's going to be an hour. It's going to be 4 hours. Chances are you're looking at a half a day, all said and done. Would you guys agree? Just to do a tire job, unless you can do it yourself. So most people will look at their schedule, right? Their planner. Okay. Whoops. There you go. And say, you know what? I'm completely out of whack now. I've got to make some adjustments here. Okay. And that's probably true. You're going to have to make some adjustments. And I'm going to talk more about planning when we get to planning. We should always leave some buffer in each day so you can absorb these things that pop up. Okay. Now, here's what's interesting. The people that really do this wholeheartedly, you really put your heart into it because your life depends on it. When you realize what this means to you, you realize how important it is. Okay. Guys, this is not dress rehearsal. As far as we know, we're only on this planet once, okay? And the clock never stops ticking. If you ever find yourself in a state of boredom or watching TV just because you got nothing else to do, you need to go back to your vision, your goals, and your actions and your plans, okay? And in any case, I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm just telling you there's a difference between people that achieve their goals and those that don't, right? The people that do have really good plans. So in any case, um, here's a real good test of your how strong your vision is. What happens on the 21st when you have the flat tire? If you give up at the end of the day and you say, you know what, I'm just going to figure it out tomorrow. And tomorrow you wake up and all of a sudden you're creating more stress for yourself because you got tomorrow's plans and action steps to take and you didn't finish the one from the day before. And if you did it right, Tuesday's action steps are probably dependent on Monday's results from Monday's action steps, right? So what do? You go back to the drawing board, you delay it a day, then you delay the week, and you delay it a month. That's just how your life goes. Anybody ever felt that way before? You're just constantly kicking the can down the field. Well, don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad because it happens to everybody, including me. Right. So, but what you'll find out is this: on that Tuesday, right at the end of the day, you'll find yourself looking at your action steps and realizing some of those things you can actually knock off in a matter of minutes. And you do it and you take care as much as you can on that money. You might stay up an extra half hour, an hour, but it'll be worth it. And by the way, it's not going to be a giant effort to do that. And you want to know why? Because when your vision is so clear, right, and your goals are so precise, remember that subconscious mind we were talking about? It's not going to let you let yourself down. Your subconscious mind is going to push you and pull you forward, drive you forward to get those action steps done because they're that important. And see, the opposite is really horrible. The opposite is if you allow yourself, your what we call your small self, your small mind, to just put it off and forget about it, you'll do it the next day and put it off again. What that tells your subconscious mind is, well, maybe those action steps weren't so important after all. After all, I was able to put them aside. And then guess what else happens? Even worse. Well, maybe the goals really aren't that important either. I can wait another week or a month or a year to achieve those goals. Then all of a sudden, sadly, and worst of all, is maybe your vision isn't all that worthwhile either. You can't let that happen. That's why when you do this the right way, your subconscious mind is not going to let that happen. Okay. Your higher self's going to come up to your defense and push you and pull you forward. So, in any case, let me just go into the vision exercise. By the way, any questions or any comments right now? Or just and do this. If this is resonating with you, if this makes sense, that dialogue I just had with you, just type in the chat box MS for makes sense. Or you can do a hand raise or just wave your actual physical hand. Okay. Um, and you might need to hear this and see this repeatedly before it really sinks in and makes sense. So, in any case, let's go to the vision exercise. So, Brianna, don't go anywhere. Brianna, hang in there because you're going to be my poster child here when I finish this part. So, okay, each of the four steps has written instructions. Okay, goes into great detail. So, the way to do this correctly, right? And I'm not going to read this verbatim for you. I'm just going to give you the big picture so that it makes sense for you and you can follow the steps on your own. In order for you to give yourself the best chance of success in doing this and creating a really good vision statement, okay, like a storyboard for your life, is to separate yourself from every source of external interference for at least 2 hours. And I suggest you carve out a half a day, like on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning or something like that, or whatever you can do it. Maybe take a half a day on Friday afternoon when everybody else is still at school and still at work. You got your place to yourself, right? And I'm talking about no dogs, no cats, nothing that's going to come up and jump on you and vie for your attention because they will. When they see you not focusing on them, what do they do? What do dogs, cats, and children do when they're in a room with you and you're not focusing on them? What do they do?
They bark.
Amen. Yeah, we're so alike. So, in any case, you've got to have an environment that allows you to be with yourself, by yourself. No computers, no phones. Only thing you're going to need is a pad of paper, a legal pad of paper, and have a couple of spare pencils and pens. Okay, just in case. A comfortable chair, right? Maybe a good view. Maybe you have a view out of one of your windows, or you have a deck you can sit on. Maybe there's a place down by you live by a lake or a river or a creek or a pond or something that has a bench in a park you can sit at. And those actually work pretty good because mostly people won't mess with you. If they see you sitting alone on a bench and your back is straight, right, and your eyes are closed and you got a legal pad with you, they're going to kind of leave you alone. So I like doing it outdoors myself. Now, if you're living up in Erie, PA right now, that's not going to happen because you're under 3 feet of snow. But if you're down in Florida, hey, you got it made pretty good, or maybe South Carolina or South. But even so, you can do it in the indoors. The best places I've seen work for people are the places that are inspiring for you. Okay. Right. You have a room in your house. You have maybe some of your famous sayings on the walls or pictures of people and places that are important to you. Right. Or maybe just artwork, you know, but a place that is quiet, secluded, and comfortable, and if possible, inspiring. Maybe where you do your usual work, like an office, that'll work. Just consider yourself lucky if you can have a room to yourself for 2 to 4 hours. Okay, but it is extremely, extremely important. You definitely need the time block, and when you block that time out, you need to tell people in advance that that's time undisturbed. You need to be undisturbed for that time frame, and they need to really take it seriously, and they will when you communicate it that way. Okay, so very important time block. Lots of wisdom behind that. So, in any case, the exercise itself. Now, what you're attempting to do to prepare is to alter your brainwave activity to be away, move on from A and B, right? Active and engaged in some kind of activity, um, to really be more like in the theta state. Delta is you're pretty much asleep. Okay, there are people in the world who can hover between theta and delta. Most people, in fact, the vast majority can't do it. I mean, there's probably maybe a few hundred people in the world that can actually do that consistently. Some of them we refer to as monks, and they live up in the high Himalayas, and all they do is pray and meditate all day long. They're in that state consistently. It's amazing, and the monks are extremely dialed in. They're not, believe me, they are not disconnected from the world in any way, shape, or form. They may look like they are. They know everything that's going on. Believe me. Okay. So, in any case, what you're trying to do is first calm yourself down by lowering your heart rate, which, by the way, it will also lower your blood pressure. Your breathing rate will slow down and stabilize. Um, in fact, one of the ways to do that is to close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Right, you don't want to fall asleep because then you're in delta and you're just going to take a nap. So you want to slow down to where your thought process is getting smaller and smaller. The scope of what you're conscious of is getting smaller and smaller. Subconscious too, by the way. Eventually, what you're doing is you're gonna be in a state of subconsciousness. That's really what's going to happen. But if you ever want to practice this first, just monitor your breathing, right? Check your pulse, and do it again after 5 minutes and 10 minutes and 15 minutes. Um, the ultimate aim is this: you want to quiet your mind so that you're not distracted from other outside interferences. Because you're going to hear the dog bark down in the street in the neighbor's yard. You're going to hear the fire engine go by. The difference is it won't hijack your mind. You're not going to find yourself thinking, oh, well, who wonder who that is, or wish that dumb dog would be quiet. The awareness of that dog barking and the ambulance going by is going to pass through your mind just like it should. It's not going to stay there and hijack your mind. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So it's not like you're asleep. You're not being hypnotized, anything like that. In fact, nobody's with you, so nobody can hypnotize you. But you're altering your brainwave activity. I like to use prayer to do that. I every single morning I wake up, way before dawn, and start praying. Actually, part of it's for you, everybody here. I name you by name, um, and I get into the I call it active prayer, praying for circumstances around the world, events, and of course people, and obviously for guidance. For me to think, speak, and act wisely, and be a good servant leader for everybody in my life. That's what I pray for. So, and then I go into what's called silent prayer. Some people call that meditation, but that's when you're letting God do the talking, right? And you're doing the listening. The only way to do that is to slow down your brainwave activity and stop that million mile an hour brain chatter that goes on all the time when you're in alpha and beta state. So, in any case, when you get in that state, okay, that's when you can start the vision exercise. All right. Okay, let's just do a quick checker. Everybody okay? Any questions, comments, any feedback? Okay. And by the way, this process, I recommend you do this at least once a week, anyways. Not the vision exercise, but the preparation of it. It is immensely healthy for your soul your mind, your body, everything. I mean, you'll promise you will be a much, much healthier person if you make this practice a regular part of your life. Okay. Even if you don't believe in a higher power, you don't believe in God, you can still pray. You can still get in, you can still pray for blessings on others and guidance and world events and things like that. I mean, that's like, just being a good human partner, So you can still do that and use that to your advantage. I always tell people, hey, if you don't want to pray to God, pray to your higher self, because your higher self is always listening, right? So do that. But in any case, get into that state now. Just for playing giving you alternative ways to do this. I know people who will listen to music to do this. Not like heavy metal, rock and roll, or anything like that, but calm, peaceful music. I know people that use sounds of nature. You can actually get it free on, online. Just Google sounds of nature. Creeks, rivers, oceans, storms, rain, every bird thing and everything that'll calm you down. I know other people who actually paint. My cousin Krista, she does that. She's a nurse and she paints. In that, and we've tested this. We get together every year for a big family reunion, and she lives out in Santa Rosa, California. She's an amazing painter, by the way. If you ever want to see her artwork, just go online and look for Krista Thomas. Krista Thomas, she's an amazing artist. She paints to ground herself, to get her clear, grounded, present, and connected. That's what she does. So whatever works for you, do that. I just wrote about prayer because that's what works for me. Um, so do that. And then you're finally ready for the exercise. Okay. Now, it's as simple as this, right? You've got your pad of paper beside you and your pens and pencils. You're not holding your hands are probably in your lap, right? You're getting into this state. And when you feel like you're conscious mainly of your breathing and you can almost feel your heartbeat and everything is silent, that means you've achieved it. You're in that state or as close as you're going to get. Then you ask yourself this question: on my last day, what do I want to see when I look back on my life? Okay. Don't worry about the second question. It'll come out automatically. Just focus on that question. And by the way, I should have mentioned this. Before you start to get in that calm state, write that question at the top of the pad of paper. So it's already done. You don't have to physically do it. It's already done. Write that question down. Then go into your preparation. When you come back out, put that pad of paper in front of you, look at it, and start writing. Okay. So let me just do a quick pause here. Okay. Let me try to slow down a little bit. What you're doing is, the technical term is called future projection. Okay. You're literally, some people call it the rocking chair exercise. Anybody ever heard of that? You're imagining you're sitting on your rocking chair on your front porch at the end of your life, looking back over your life. You're calm and peaceful. Your time is up. You can feel it. You're looking back. What you're doing is you're writing what you would like to see. And these are some of the most important words I could ever give you. It's what you want to see. It's not what you think you're going to see. There's a huge difference. Okay. Everybody with me on this? Just hand raise, type yes, everybody. All right. Because if you write down what you think you're going to see, you're limiting yourself to your conscious mind, what your conscious mind is aware of, which is very limited, very, very limited compared to what you're capable of when you tap into the higher consciousness. Okay. When you let God work through you and speak through you, that's you're living correctly when you're living that kind of life. You're a vessel, you're a conduit. Okay. Wealth, for example, you realize it's not yours to possess, because it's not, you know, it everything is because of the higher power, right? You're just simply acting as a vessel to help others. Use it as a blessing to help others. That's really what you're doing, whether it's knowledge, your skill you developed, money, whatever you've got, all these things, whether they're conscious, whether they're material blessings or not. Maybe it's your personality. Maybe you're a natural teacher. Maybe you're a natural preacher. Maybe you're a doctor. You're a natural doctor. Whatever it is, that can be leveraged to serve others. Everybody has that. Everybody here has that, because you help people buy and sell real estate. But in any case, back to this. All right. You want, I like to write it like I'm writing, just letting the words flow through me. And by the way, this is a real technique that writers use. Who's heard of the writer's block before? Writer's block. They just are stuck. Anybody been there? Including me. Yeah. Well, there's something called the writer flow. You get into the flow and it just flows through you. It's like it's coming from outside you, through your arm, your hand, your fingers, and a pencil onto the paper. And that's exactly what it feels like. I've done it 42 times now, and it's exactly what it feels like. And you just start writing, just keep writing, 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 and you're not judging what you're writing, you're not analyzing what you're writing, you're not criticizing or critiquing what you're writing, you're not prioritizing what you're writing, you're not doing any of those things at all. You're just simply acting as a conduit. You're the faucet and the water flowing through you onto that piece of paper. And the first time I did it, I wrote 4 pages. Okay. Um, Back and front. So like 8 pages, and it took all in about 4 hours. The writing part took about 2 hours. I just kept going and going and going. I didn't realize that my hand and my wrist and my arm were so tired until I stopped. I didn't had because I wasn't really, remember, I was in my theta state. I wasn't really thinking of the physical pain. I just kept writing and writing and writing. First time I did it, I was 40 years old, and sitting by a lake, Cub Scout, Boy Scout camp. All the scouts were doing their daily events, and the other dads were sitting around the campfire, telling jokes and burping and stuff like that, and falling asleep. And I just thought, I'm going to use this time wisely. And boy, it was the best thing I've ever done. So, in any case, um, when you're writing, think of write this down for a big tip. I'm going to give you a big tip. Okay. If you're not sure what to write about ahead of time, you can write on your piece of paper these things. These are called environments in your life. These are the areas of your life, environments. One of them is your physical body is an environment. Okay. And you should be a good custodian with your physical body, be a good steward. Your mind, right, is an environment. Your spirit is an environment. Okay. Your house, believe it or not, is an environment. The community you live in, that's an environment. Your job, your vocation is an environment. Your friends are an environment. Your family is an environment. Your investments, your money is actually an environment. Okay. So you have all these environments, things that you spend your time and energy on, usually on a daily basis, if not weekly or monthly. Okay. So those can be some high level categories for you to write about when you're writing your vision statement. Okay. Um, Now some people write like they're writing a letter to themselves. So it's like you're 100 years old and you're writing a letter to your 30-year-old self. Okay. Some people write it like it's a movie script. That's sort of like what mine was, more of a brain dump. I just completely dumped it out. And it wasn't any particular order, and I was jumping around, but it came out perfectly at the end. By the way, every one of you, when you do it, it will come out perfectly. I can promise you. I don't care if it's 2 pages, 4 pages, or 8 pages. I will tell you, the more you write, the more you gave yourself to the process. Okay. Um, and that preparation is the most vital thing. If the more prepared you are getting in the state of delta, the more you're going to write. I promise you, it'll just come through you. Now, the analogy of the spigot is a really good analogy. At first, you might find yourself asking, "What am I going to write about?" Well, you have the question on my last day, what do I want to see when I look back on my life? Start thinking about your environments and start writing. But if you're ever curious about what to do when you really are stuck, you actually start writing about what you are aware of around you. You heard a bird sing. Write down, I just heard a bird sing, you know, and all of a sudden the spigot opens up further and further, and you start writing more automatically, more subconsciously. You get in the flow. It's a trick that writers use. So you just write about something that you just became aware of, a dog barking, whatever. It'll get the spigot, the water flowing. In any case, you write and write and write, and you keep writing. And when and you're done writing, you keep writing. You keep writing until you feel the compulsion that you actually wrote a complete vision statement. You'll just know it. Your subconscious mind, I think it's God telling you, "Hey, you did it. Congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back." Um, and if it's really thorough, it'll encompass every aspect of your life, your children, your parents, brothers, sisters, your friends, your colleagues, former, your former colleagues, your teammates, kids you played with as a child, you know, your first boyfriend or girlfriend, it'll all come out. Um, and there's some really good benefits from all this, guys. Um, Probably the most profound one, and I'm going to stop talking after this and let you guys ask questions.
Hi, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching a recording of the Monday Night Live class. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. I'm sure you will. I wanted to let you know that you can come to Monday Night Live whenever you want, but you can also participate more with the team. Why don't you set up a call with me, a one-on-one strategy call? I can go over everything with you, show you everything that we have to offer. For example, did you know that on our team, not only do you get your leads, we actually give you your own account on our lead gen system. So this puts you in control. You're not waiting on somebody to hand you leads. You get to pick the ones you want. Okay. Huge difference. We have 21 of our own proprietary marketing campaigns. They're all copyright protected. We're the only ones that can use them. Okay. The coaching is absolutely one-on-one. We got 3 coaches. We even have a 4th success coach that we have access to. Okay. One of left fewer than 100 in the world. Okay. One-on-one coaching. Right now the big problem is volume. We need more transactions. We need more inventory. I get it. Well, we know how to get it. Our team actually outproduces the national average by more than 2 to 1. So if you're struggling, don't do that anymore. If you're a solo agent, if you're a team, let's just talk. Smart entrepreneurs are always open to discussion. Learn what we have to offer, and then you can make an informed decision about staying where you are or moving on. You've got to decide, if you're not where you want to be, you've got to take action to get where you want to be. Let's see how we can help you do that. I look forward to talking to you. Click on the link, set up a call. And by the way, I'll see you on the next Monday Night Live.
The more I started doing this and helping other people doing it, I used to run a mastermind group and we would do this every year. You guys are lucky because those people paid $25,000, right? And the group I was in was $100,000. There's nothing like that here. This is all you. It's all about you, and your price is what you put into it or what you don't, and you suffer the consequences, right? I suggest you invest everything you got into it. That's your price for this. But I've had people, including grown men, come to tears. They're like, this was the most profound thing I've ever done. I felt like I met myself for the first time. And that's exactly the way I felt. And I've had that comment given to me hundreds and hundreds of times over the years. People say, I I'm calmed down now. It's been a week since I did it, but Gary, I felt like I met myself for the first time. How'd you like to make that statement to people you love one day? Well, you can. You can do it through this exercise. I mean, stuff will come out. I mean, just amazing what people write about, like their children. Like one guy, he was questioning whether he should travel like I did to, teach and preach. Now, at my time, my kids were already in college, right, and out, so they weren't at home. And I told him, I said, "Look, man, you may think it's a glamorous life out there, and it's a good ego brush for a moment, but after a while, you realize every day you spend on the road up on a stage is another day away from your family." And he had 2 young boys, and I said, "You may think you're going to get home for all the ball games, and you may think you're going to get home for all the birthdays. You may think you're going to be there for every event that happens, and you can plan all you want for doing that. But what you can't plan for are the things that you don't know, the accidents that occur in life, the things that just pop up at a spur of the moment. Things like, like at school, and they didn't tell your kid he's going to win an award, but he wins an award at school, and you're not there. You know, don't let that happen to you. Okay. So, and doesn't really apply to you so much, but I told the guy, I said, look, you know, you can always go back out and start a brand new chapter of your life in terms of business and how you make money and what you want to do for your vocation. But you cannot get another day back out of your child's life. Because once it's done, it's done. It's final, right? You gotta move on, man. And you let those things pile up like that, it'll wear on your soul. Okay. So thankfully to this day, this guy never did go out and on the road and do the stage thing and teaching and preaching. It's hard on your body. It's hard on every part of life. It's hard on relationships. And you'll learn over time the relationships in your life, right? The experiences you have are what really counts. The relationships are most important. Just think about some of the sacrifices your parents and grandparents have made in their lives. Look at some of the, I mean, my gosh, some of us in this room here, Zoom, have parents and grandparents and great grandparents, some of you are young enough, that were in World War II. Good Lord, just study what those people went through all over the world. We've never experienced anything like that in our lives, not even close, you know? So they gave everything for their next generation, which is probably you or your parents or grandparents. Okay, gave everything. So you'll find out how important that kind of stuff is when you do have a crisis. What I'm saying here is, you know, write down when you're writing, you know, how do you want your kids and grandkids to remember you, your brothers and sisters and your parents? How do you want them to remember you, your friends, your colleagues? What do you want them to say about you? Okay. And that'll be reflected in your vision exercise, the way who you are as a person. Because at the end of the day, the only way you can have what you want to have is to do what's necessary to have those things. The only way you're going to do what's necessary is to have the right goals in place and the right vision in place. When you have that alignment from vision all the way through your plans, you are not going to let yourself down. You're not going to always get everything the way you want in the time you want it. That's not up to you. Okay. That's the you got to let go. Right? You got to learn surrender. It's another big lesson in life. And I'm going to not go down that road right here tonight. But when you just give it up, okay, I don't mean quit. You just turn it over, right? And you keep doing your part. You've got to be the person, feet on the ground, right? You've got to think, speak, and act wisely and keep taking action steps, right, towards your goals. And lo and behold, you wake up one day and you'll have another goal accomplished. And it'll invigorate you to keep going. Then gradually your vision will become real for you. Okay. All right. Let me stop there real quick and take questions. Anybody who here's stunned by some of what you just heard, or surprised, or really not really expecting that tonight?
Resonates with me every time, man.
Yep, it's awesome. I love this part of the year. Yeah,
It's stuff that I know, but it just rings truer and truer every time. Thank you.
you're welcome. Well, the thing is, Rob, is the more you do it, the better you become at it. It becomes like second nature. So, yep, it's good to see you, Mark Phillips. Good to see you too, man. I know we got a call coming up. Yep. So,
Gary,
any case,
what I have
oh,
trouble with is
mhm,
relating my vision and my goals for my whole life into my work and my business plan.
mhm.
And I don't know how to say this without it sounding weird, but it's like, life happens and that's kind of my goal, where my vision and my goal about who I want to be. But I got to translate that into my business.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's try to do a little exercise here. First off, Kay, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hope you had a wonderful trip.
I
So
did. It was part of my vision.
there you go. And it's good to see you too.
Thank you.
So now have you done the vision exercise before?
I did it, but I didn't do it all the way. I didn't do it
Okay. Well, that's
wholeheartedly
okay. Yeah. You know what? What's the second best time to plant a tree?
right now.
Right now. Yeah. So let me give you remember when I was talking about the environments,
Yes.
right? So if you think of the environments in a wheel, like a wagon wheel or a
Hmm.
pie, and each environment is a piece of the pie. Have you ever noticed in life where if you impact one area of your life, it's going to have an impact on other areas of your life, right?
Hmm.
So if you take care of your physical body, you will likely feel better mentally and emotionally, and vice
Yeah.
versa. If you feel really good and mentally and emotionally, you're probably going to feel good physically. Okay, right? So and also you'll probably be a more sought after partner in relationships with your friends, your neighbors, your relatives. People want to be with you more because you're such a positive, healthful person, right? So it's affecting those environments. Right now, um, if you have a part of your vision that involves your vocation, so your vocation in terms of business is, in this case, helping other people buy and sell real estate, right? Some of
Yes.
them are buying their own homes, selling, or some are selling to downsize, maybe sell and go to a retirement village, like in Florida, and some are buying investment property. Okay, and they have additional goals of, building a solid financial future for them and their families later on. So if you focus on that, helping somebody buy their own home, when you after the closing table, hopefully in most cases, just a young family buying their first home. What does that feel like when you walk away from the closing and you see them hugging each other and they got the keys and they're talking about, where they're going to put the furniture? Well, how does that make you feel?
Makes you feel warm and glowy inside.
Absolutely. It makes you feel really good. And you're going to go home and people are going to see your light shining. Your family's going to see your light shining. So there's a direct alignment. Let's call this alignment between the different environments. But more importantly, part of your vision is probably, I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know because I haven't read your vision statement, but I'm willing to bet you would want people to remember you for being a very helpful, supportive person and helping them get their first home. Even it could be family members, grandchildren looking to buy their first home, for example. In other words, part of your vision is you want to be remembered fondly from people because you help them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, one of the ways you can help people is utilizing your skills as a real estate, advisor to help people buy a home or sell a home or buy an investor property, right? So there's also remuneration there, and this is just one of those facts of life and business. In order to have a sound business plan, there has to be remuneration. There has to be an exchange of value, right? It's an energy exchange. You may think it's money, but money is just paper. The physical money itself is actually meaningless. It's just a piece of paper or coin. It's what it represents that has value. Money represents exchange value. Okay, you exchange money for a nice dinner out with your husband. You exchange money for a nice vacation for you and your children. And that's exchange value. So I'm going to do this with my fingers so they help make sense. Everybody imagine the symbol of an omega, the omega symbol. It's like a eight, turn sideways, right? Figure eight, turn sideways. And if you notice, my finger keeps flowing through the omega symbol, right? It crosses, there's a point where it crosses, right? Think of one side is giving, one part of the omega symbol, one side of the eight is giving, the other side is receiving. Okay. This is why remuneration is so important. If all you did was receive, 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 you'd probably have a short-lived, kind of narrow life. You know, it's just you're going to eventually kind of get burned out because you realize, you don't have fulfillment. You don't feel joy from giving to others. Okay, so you do have to give in life. The opposite is true too. This is a lot of people when they learn this are guilty of the second thing here, which is this: we become guilty of being the givers and we're not good receivers. Who here in their family or circle of friends is the person that when you go out to dinner, you're the one that always picks up the tab? Anybody ever find themselves in that those shoes before? Yep, you pick up the tab because you're a giver. Well, let me be the first to tell you, when someone offers to give you something, learn how to be a good receiver, a gracious receiver. Receive with grace what others are willing to give you because you just honored them. You honored them and they're wanting to give you something. And not only that, that omega symbol right in the middle there has like a light switch. If you switch it off on one side or the other, right, you stop the flow of abundance. So if all you did was give and you never receive, you stop the flow of abundance. You're not your abundance is going to be stumped. It's not going to be, infinite, which is what God intends for us. There's an abundance of there's no shortage of trees out there and rocks to create cement. There's an ample supply. So in any case, think of the omega symbol and think of your vocation in there you're giving of your time and energy and sometimes money to help other people buy or sell a home or invest in a real estate property. And you deserve to receive compensation for that. There's an exchange of value there. It's called remuneration. And that's one example of the omega symbol when it comes to abundance. The same is true with your personal energy. When you're a natural healer and you help people who are sick with the flu and you help them recover by making them soup and bringing them heating pads and ibuprofen and stuff like that, you're giving, right? And by the way, you could get sick yourself too, so you got to be careful. But um, your time may come sometime and you got to let yourself be taken care of. So same thing in emotional charged moments where somebody's angry. Man, don't fall into that anger trap. I know it's easy because we're all human. Believe me, it's energy, it's catchy. Who's ever felt like when somebody in the room is extremely angry, you feel yourself getting angry too? It's usually with people you love the most, like your siblings, sometimes spouses and children. Yep, just natural. Somebody has got to be the voice of calm and love. You can't conquer anger with more anger. It's just going to create more anger, you know. So when that anger comes to you, that omega symbol, you basically put out the love and let the love throw fluid. It'll go to the other person. If you've ever done that before, you'll notice all of a sudden the other person starts calming down. Isn't that amazing? Works like a charm. So in any case, the Kate take off word Kate. There she is. So Kate. So back to your vision exercise. I would do the vision exercise and make sure you put the different environments down first, so you cover all your relationships, your business, and other things too. And what'll happen is you start to see the relationship to them, how one affects the other. And then when you create your goals, you realize when you accomplish a goal of selling 12 houses this next year, all of a sudden you can now take that remuneration, the compensation you receive, to pay for a trip to um, New Braunfels and the Schlitterbahn, for example, for you and your grandkids. And you just created one heck of a day for your grandkids and brought so much joy. And you did it because your vocation made that happen. And that's the alignment. That's just one example. Does that help? Okay. Hey, Kay, you're muted. I saw you shake your head, but
Yes, and I will say that, just going away and getting my head out of everything and seeing all the different cultures and the sweet, wonderful Thai people,
Yep.
and looking at the changes in the People's Republic of China and all of that, it really brought home a lot of things. And we went to see the bridge over the River Kwai. And when you go to the cemetery there and you see these young graves,
Oh
and
yeah.
I mean, these were babies. They were 19, 20, 21. I mean, it just, we have no idea, just like you said. And it really, and I went with my best friend we've known each other since we were 14, and we reconnected. And it was just like, just so much. I found myself just really thinking about life and the purpose, and what was expendable and what wasn't expendable, and what was important and what wasn't really important, and how people all over focused on the wrong things. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It was a very profound trip for me.
Yeah. Well, I agree. The more I'm around, the more I realize how cautious we have to be out in the world of commerce. I mean, turning on the TV and the radio, driving down the road. I mean, my gosh, we're getting bombarded. We need a new house. We need a new car. We need new clothes. We need all this stuff. No, you don't. You don't need that stuff. So, I mean, we need food. Well, we should have clothes, I guess. Get in trouble if we don't have clothes. But in any case, uh, I love doing this every year. So Brianna, you're still there. There's Brianna. Hey, Brianna, do you remember what you told us in the commercial mastermind probably 2 months ago? We were talking about how this whole hotel project came about. Would you mind sharing with people what you told us on the commercial mastermind?
Yeah, I did a 6-month vision board in the middle of the year, and I wanted to bring value to a part of Nashville that really needs support. Didn't exactly know how I was going to do it, but anyway, long story short, I had that vision. And now I'm part of a team that is buying property. And then we've talked to the Marriott, and we're going to bring a Marriott along with some retail space and some condo space to an area that is in big need of something like that.
Awesome. And you'd already done the vision exercise earlier in the year, I guess, right? That was like
Yes.
a major, yeah. Yeah, really important, guys. Whenever you feel compelled or something coming through you and it's at a high, like a spiritual level, it's good to do another vision exercise. And also, by the way, if you have something traumatic happen, really good time to redo your vision exercise. It'll you'll find out how your roadmap changes. Okay. And the longer you're around, the more your vision will evolve, and it'll change. My first vision, shoot, 90% of my goals were all about the buildings I was going to buy, and after doing that, I realized, gee, I'm not as happy as I thought I was going to be. It wasn't fulfilling. Gradually I started morphing into the relationships and serving others. And the more I did, man, life is good. So, hey guys, any questions for Brianna? Feel free. She's on the team. So we're all givers on this team. So you can, learn from the best.
I also bought my first piece of investment property this year.
Awesome. Yep. Who's that little guy you have on your shoulders?
My son, my youngest.
Awesome. Yep. I bet he's happy right about now.
He's a hot mess.
Awesome.
I have my cat, my dog, and my kid in the office with me.
All right.
Future property manager.
There you go.
Right. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I want to greet all your clients.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'd take him with you sometimes. You'd be surprised,
I
So,
do. A lot of my clients know him.
good. Okay. Hey, Christopher Dollar Simmons, if you could unmute yourself.
Yeah.
There
Can you hear
you
me?
are. I can. Yep. Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
you remember a couple weeks back you got your first transaction. By the way, guys, give everybody give Chris a big pat on the back and a hoorah because he got his first transaction on the team. Okay. And I saw something else come through and I called him up and I said, well, how did it happen? What marketing was it? The letter, the booklet, what did you do marketing wise? And he didn't say that. And I want you guys to hear what he told me that he did, which is the most fundamental activity of all in real estate sales. I gave you a hint there, but would you mind sharing, Christopher, what you told me, how that deal came about?
Oh, it was from my fear of influence.
Yep.
That's
And
how
you
the sale
did you?
came about. And then another one is developing out of it as well. Two more are developing out of it as well.
Yep. So did you email him, text him, call him on the phone? How did you communicate with
I,
him?
I did a little bit of both.
Mhm.
So he just got married again. So probably about 4 or 5 months ago, me and my wife drove up north for the wedding, and then we just started having these conversations, and so it was a little bit of texting, emailing, getting to know the new wife. So it's a little bit of everything.
Awesome. Well, what was interesting is, I know I talk about this a lot, like the most fundamental activity you can engage in real estate related activities is putting every contact you have on your database, every single one. I don't care if it's your granddad, your granddaughter, every single person, best friend, everybody. Turn on the market update for them. Because remember, in KV Core, they don't have to be in your MLS. There's a field there you can select, you put in the area. It'll grab data from that area and build a market report for that person in that area. So you can use it for everybody, anybody and everybody within the US, that is. Canada has its own version. But what you do then is you set up a regular calling schedule. Remember, you gotta categorize your people: level 1, level 2, level 3. Level ones, you call every 90 days. You don't call them all in one day, but in 90 days, you spread them out. And level two people, you call every 6 months. You spread those out over 6 months. So every day, you might only have 3 or 4 phone calls. By the end of the year, you will have called everybody. And what Christopher said is, and it was almost funny because I cracked up. We both laughed when he said it. He said, I started calling people like you said. And I said, what happened? He said, well, some of them said yes. And I'm just crazy. Like, well, this is exactly how it works and why it works. And the irony is most of your business from your sphere will actually come in the way of referrals and repeat business. They're not new people because you already know them. And most often, they're not looking to buy and sell themselves, but that's okay. You just want to give them the market update to remind them of who you are and what you do. Okay. And then when you call them every 90 days or 6 months, whichever category they're in, you're just having a conversation with them because you already know them, you know, and literally you'll start to remember children, pets, that they play golf, all kinds of stuff. You remember the trip they went on last summer. You remember these things and they'll reward you for that subconsciously. They're going to remember you. So when they go to work on Monday, find out they're getting a new job, or in the case of Chris, somebody's getting remarried, a second marriage, you know, you just happen to call them at the right time. Guys, that's how it works. That's the law of attraction. Chris didn't plan those people to get married. They decided on their own. Chris just happened to be wise enough to call them and call them at the right time. And that's how it works. Okay. You can call it magic if you want. It was Janai earlier. Janai's on tonight, by the way, too. Janai Rush. Nice to see you, Janai. It's called a law of attraction. And it is. It's the universe is responding to you. It works. Don't question it. Don't analyze it. Just be part of it. You know. So, any questions for Christopher, guys? By the way, he's up in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. So when Chris, you said you drove north, I'm thinking you can't go much further north. Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Actually, I'm probably still another 6 hours from the Canadian border. So I'm
Oh
like
wow.
right
Okay.
smack dab in the metro, in the Twin
Yeah,
Cities.
you're almost in the subtropics. And
Yeah, yeah.
uh, well, that's awesome, Chris. And thank you for coming tonight and sharing. I mean, I know you're going to make it on Wednesday too, and I appreciate that because we're Wednesdays. I'm not going to spill the beans, but definitely everybody here, if you're on the team, that the one that we do the second Wednesday of the month is just for the actual team members. I please forgive me if you're not on the team, but it's we do that only once a month. Monday nights for everybody, and if you're not on the team, you're obviously keep coming in Monday night. But if you're on the team, we do other things like agent attraction that only really pertain to us. So, in any case, and Brianna, thank you for sharing too. If you guys, it's about 8:15 Eastern. If you do have questions on what we went over tonight, or questions for Brianna about her experience with the vision exercise, or Christopher with calling his sphere, one of the simplest, easiest, and it's totally free. Didn't cost him a dime. And by the way, all joking aside, it's better to help a second marriage couple find a house than a first marriage couple. Because when they're first getting married, they're buying their first house, which is usually the smallest house. When they get remarried, they're trying to get the Taj Mahal for themselves. Am I right? And don't worry about the
Oh
third one.
yeah.
Yeah. At the third one, they're deciding on who's going to move in with who. So you're not going to get a new deal out of that. So I'm just kidding. Uh, I shouldn't make fun of. I love marriage, but Brandon, thank you for sharing. Christopher, thank you for sharing, and thank you everyone for being here, especially the guest Nelson Gaffney. I don't recognize your name, but I'm glad you're here, man. You're welcome to come anytime. This is unique. These next 4 weeks, well, 5 weeks.
Before you go, for
Yes.
Brianna and you, Gary, when you go through the vision exercise, do you make yourself go through all the environments, or do you go like one environment per season, so to speak? Like in the next 6 months, this is the environment that I want to work on, like my physicality, my business, my friends.
I did them all at once. Ow! My cat just jumped on my back.
Oh boy.
It's a whole life event, PF. So you want to cover all the environments. You might miss one or two. That's okay. But think of it as a whole life event. Excuse me. I said environment, but a mini event. And and it'll feed you, and it'll modify and change over time, but let it it'll be natural. You'll find out it's a very enriching, fulfilling exercise. One of the best things you could ever do for yourself. It'll strengthen your beliefs and your values. You'll find yourself feeling better about yourself and the human race around you. I mean, the world is basically good. I mean, just look right now. If you really strip away what they tell you on 6 o'clock news, in today's world right now, would you agree? You're probably doing pretty good. I mean, you're sitting here in class right now. You got a beautiful scenery around you. You've got a great town, or you're out in the country like Janai and like me. You know, you got a lot to be thankful and grateful for. I mean, this planet is amazing. You know, and look at some of the stuff we've done. Some of it is not pretty, like industrial sites, but I mean, some of the buildings. The Notre Dame just got reopened. I'm sure you saw that after being messed up by fire. It's an amazing place if you ever get to go see it. You know, I think the person who designed it was inspired by God. I think musicians are inspired by God. I don't know how else they would play a musical instrument. I sure can't do it, you know? So I really admire that stuff. That's the kind of stuff you'll start to find yourself. I mean, it's like if you ever been sick and couldn't taste your food before, like when you have a flu and all of a sudden you're healthy and you can taste your food again. Think of that, but in all of your environments, how richer life will taste, I promise you, I'm probably over talking this, but guys, I got to tell you, I that the greatest Christmas present you could ever give yourself, or Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Do this. It doesn't cost a dime. You know, your family will thank you for it. Okay, I promise you. And your friends will. They'll
Yes,
notice. They'll say stuff.
what I found out is after doing the exercise, everything's interconnected. And
Mhm.
so when I focused on my health, I had a clear mind. I'm I try to be a spiritual being in all that I do, and I found out there was a common thread. Like whether I'm working, I want to be of service, and to me, that is spirituality. So I found that there's a common theme and common thread when I did it, and it was just holistic. Because the more centered I am, the better I am with my family and with work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
I brought us together, even Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Law of
I
attraction.
mean, law of attraction. Like
yeah,
it started with Gina being my coach. Then I met Gary. I met Janai. I met Anna, Kay.
mhm,
Mhm.
Even Andre. I got to meet him in person at an event
yeah,
and talk on his podcast. PF. Everybody on this team did law of attraction. It's a blessing.
yeah, absolutely.
And I think
Yeah,
you really want to put it out to I believe in law of attraction. I believe that you can manifest negative as well if you
Yeah.
concentrate on
mhm,
and let your mind go over on just the negatives. But law of attraction, I think also if you have accountability partners or you share your vision with somebody else, you're more inspired to be accountable to that than just
mhm,
because you're more accountable to others oftentimes as givers than we are ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one step I'm taking this year is like do the ninja planner, do the vision planning, but also have people that I connect with to say, listen, I really need you to hold me accountable to this.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing. The best part of all is your light will shine. You'll have people say that. You walk into a room like, wow, you just lit up the whole room. That's a good feeling. I know when I was a kid, I sure wasn't getting that comment. You know, I was incredibly shy and it was painful for me to be around other people. Just, you know, I was felt like I was better off by myself. But different story for a different day. So this will help you see yourself for the first time if you've never done it. And you'll over time it becomes easier. And this what Janai's referring to in Brianna, things like clarity, right? Being present, being connected, being grounded, being clear. I I can't imagine there's any other way to do this. You've got to just connect. Again, I'm not trying to preach you. If you're not a believer, you don't believe in a higher power, please forgive me. Just think of you've got your own higher power, your own higher self, but you've got to connect with with God. Essentially, that's really what you've got to do. When you do, and when you realize everything's going to be okay no matter what, one of my best friends just told me a couple hours ago that unfortunately she's got breast cancer. She just diagnosed just today, and she was at the doctor's a month ago for a regular checkup. Nothing came up. Imagine that. Now this thing is already an inch in diameter. So but she is such a strong, faithful person. She's like her mission is to let the doctors do their thing, be a good patient, do what she can do to get through this. And I told her, I said, you do whatever's necessary. Because me, selfishly, I don't want to live my life without her. I mean, she's that important. She's a friend. She's married to one of my other friends, but we just, you know, instant connection years ago. Where she's my sister from another mister, and I have her brother from another mother. Um, but it was selfish of me for to say that. But the fact is, I know she's strong enough that I know she believes she's going to be okay. There's no question about it. And that can only come from, having a faith so strong that in spite of all that can happen in life. I mean, I was mentioning World War II earlier. Just read about Anne Frank, right? And who was the other guy? Darn, he wrote a book and he recreated the book from memory. There's in the concentration camp. The
Eli
guards
Wiesel.
Yes.
Eli Wiesel. The book is Night.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, read what those people went through, okay? And how spirited they are, right? They had everything taken away, everything, including hope. And yet they had their faith, and that was what carried them. They both said the same thing. That was it. That was it. That was the final thing, and nobody can take that away from you. So, in any case, I hope you find it. I hope others, if you have it, help others find it. The best thing you can do is just being yourself. By being yourself. So, in any case, guys, if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and head out for tonight. For those of you on the team, I'll see you Wednesday. Everybody else, we'll see you next Monday. Remember, next Monday is the goals. So make the effort to do the vision exercise this week. I know it's between Thanksgiving and Christmas. If you absolutely can't do it, don't beat yourself up. But remember, we want to start January off on the helping you achieve your goals and realizing your vision. Okay. And if you can squeeze it in, even it's late at night, early in the morning, whenever you can do it, I promise you're going to be immensely grateful you did it. So sound good? Okay, good. And follow Chris's lead when it comes to getting your next couple of transactions by reaching out to your sphere. How about two? And I mean, doesn't get any better than that. So, all right, guys, take care of
Thanks,
yourselves.
Gary.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Have a good night, everyone.
God bless
Bye.
you and your loved ones.
Thank
Guys,
you.
I'll see you.
Good night,
You're welcome.
everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for watching this episode of Monday Night Live. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.